Let me record on my computer then. Okay, so welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on another interview conducted by Urban Yoga Lab in Oxygen. And this interview, it is all under the category Food for the Soul series, where we invite some of the top employee well-being, employee mental health speakers, experts, and coaches that we have in our Urban Yoga Lab and Oxygen family to come and talk with us, discuss with us some of the hottest topics in employee well-being. So today, I'm super excited, guys. I'm super excited to have here invited one of the experts that I personally admire. I think she's one of the most inspiring experts in her own field, and she's a true role model. Her name is Dr. Maria Fotiado, and she is also an expert in Urban Yoga Lab and Oxygen. Maria, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Alexandra. It's always a pleasure to speak to you.
It's so lovely. Thank you for accepting our invitation. And especially today, the conversation will be all about positive psychology and how we can actually tap into some amazing techniques, tools, and practices to build resilience. So I'm going to give a little bit of an introduction for those of you who don't know her. Dr. Maria Fotiado is a health and positive psychologist, an empowerment and happiness coach, and an award-winning international speaker. She's also a lecturer at the University of Westminster in London, and she's also an author. Maria's work is dedicated to raising awareness on mental health in the workplace, and her life mission is to help and inspire people, employees from all over the world, to create a positive attitude and attain a happiness. To date, she has helped thousands of employees from around the world deal with stress, depression, chronic illness, and low self-confidence, and lead a happy, healthy, and prosperous life. She's dedicated to raising awareness on depression and ways to attain happiness. She has been part of numerous clinical and mental health workshops and conferences in Europe and the US. Her work has received international awards, grants, and coverage worldwide. In 2015, her work on health and happiness was one of the 6 winners of an international competition for people who want to make a positive change to the world. She has served as an ambassador of UNICEF, and she's a member of several international humanity and health organizations, and holds partnerships with professionals from around the world promoting happiness, quality of life, and health. Maria, we're so honored to have you joining us today, a true thought leader, and I'm constantly inspired by your amazing work. So again, thank you. Once again, thank you for being here. Thank you for accepting to be a part of this interview, which my intention is to be a thought-provoking interview, especially for designed for our HR network, and HRs are like healers. That's how I call it. HRs are healers, and they are there always to support and help employees to take care of their well-being and mental health. And it's not always an easy thing, right? It can be really complex and it can be really difficult. So that leads me to my first question. And it's all about resilience, right? So I get to hear this all the time from clients, from HRs, that they feel like it's so hard for them in times of adversity and uncertainty to build resilience. So what is positive psychology and how does it help to build resilience, Maria?
Thank you for the introduction anyway. So it's so nice to hear all these nice words, and appreciate it. Thank you so much. First of all, the first thing I will say is what it is. When we refer to resilience, many people don't really understand what it includes. And first of all, it's about self-awareness, to know our abilities, to know that we can actually adapt to new situations, and we can actually build on our skills and learn new skills, and also to that we have the ability, or we can actually develop the ability to plan and build effective coping strategies in times of adversity and difficulties. So many people ask me, okay, I wasn't born like resilient, I don't have this capability, can I actually build any skills? And I always, not just me, but positive psychology and psychology in general, we say that people, because we're very adaptable to new situations, we can actually build, we can learn. Resilience is something that we can learn in our lives, and we can actually become more effective in every situation that we have to face. So in times of adversity, to be honest, life can always actually bring adversities. Nowadays, because many countries, and in the UK as well, we talk about cost of living, about challenges in the workplace. So many people think that this is not very possible to cope with situations like that affect everybody. But we can see that in times of adversity throughout history that there were actually people, there are always people that can adapt easily to times of adversity, difficult situations, and they can actually progress and achieve actually their goals, and even more than that. So this is what we say in positive psychology, that we can actually build resilience, and we can actually reach like deadlines and goals, and reach like higher levels in what we do.
Amazing. I'm so glad, and it sounds like it sounds so good to know that resilience is not something that we are born with. It's not something that it comes like with our DNA, but it's something we can actually cultivate and develop. And especially via positive psychology. And I'm so glad to hear that, because that also reminds me that there are so many tools and so many practices and so many different kind of even hacks that we can take from this world of positive psychology to build resilience. And I would love to discuss later with you about the different kind of toolkits that you personally recommend. But when it comes to resilience, another thing that I've noticed is that many organizations, they are wondering how they can actually build resilience within their organizations. So not just as, on a personal level, but more like within a company's culture. So what would be your suggestion to that? What would be your main ideas when it comes to that?
First of all, just to add, because optimism is part of resilience, and they have like many things in common, and optimism and pessimism as well. They are personality traits. So people are born either more optimistic or less optimistic, right, if we can name it like that. So it can be like part of our personality, and resilience as well. So that's why we can find like differences in our world, but we differ from each other. Other people can adapt better to situations than others. But we found that through research and psychology and our knowledge, over the years, that we can actually build this skill on these skills, and we can teach people who are less resilient to learn this type of skills and effective coping strategies to become more resilient as well. Right. So asking about companies, This is like, it can be like the same. Usually the companies need to incorporate, first of all, to value resilience, to see that it can bring actually better results in the company, and to provide like knowledge to, you know, all the staff, everybody, you know, from the lower staff to the higher position staff, and to collaborate with people who have the knowledge on resilience, and not only resilience but mental health as well, psychologists and therapists, to develop like programs where they teach different like techniques to employees, because it's not something that we cannot just say that okay, I want to become resilient, and books can help. Things like that can help, like videos and online courses, but person, you know, in person, like on-site training can help as well, because therapists and psychologists can identify where, you know, each person actually lacks, and they can actually teach them how to build on resilience. And of course, in organizations, people work in groups as well. This is very, very important, because what we found is, because we're social beings, and we all differ, and we all have like our strengths and weaknesses. So we can, what we actually teach people and people in organizations, and how to help each other and work together to, you know, to fill our gaps, let's say. So other people can have like different strengths, and we can actually combine all these strengths to bring the best type of result. And this actually, we found that cooperation enhance resilience as well in groups.
Nice. I love what you just highlighted, that the power of bringing people together. It can be in person, it can be virtually, right? It can be in an online, on an online environment, but it's this element of bringing a psychological safety and inviting people to share and interact with each other and be engaged. And that actually creates a sense of community. And on top of what you said, it actually has that kind of team bonding impact, which is exactly what many companies are struggling with their hybrid workforce today.
Yes,
So yeah, and then that reminds me an initiative, and that brings me in mind a recent initiative we organized for an organization in fashion, where we actually organized those kind of weekly women circles, where, you know, females from this organization get together every single week, just with one single topic. Each week there is a facilitator, and they just have an open conversation about the things that they feel like they want to share and discuss about. And sometimes those topics can be women's health, or women's mental health, or family well-being, and so many other topics around this world of being a woman, and as a woman being at the workplace today, what are the main challenges? So we found that this is such a powerful initiative, and women feel so much bonded and empowered and supported by one another. And what I've seen is that what you've said before, that group coaching or group mentoring is another thing that we see more and more HRs actually adapting as a new practice. So that brings me back to some of the main practices that you mentioned briefly a little bit earlier, about workshops and webinars and other initiatives organizations can actually implement to take care of their employees' well-being and mental health. What other practices would you personally recommend?
We talked about, first of all, just to let everybody know that online courses are brilliant as well. They work very effectively, but what from research that we do, and we talk to organizations and employees, and because resilience levels have actually decreased from 2020 since COVID-19. So because everybody was working online, and to start with, everybody glorified this online, working online, working from home, where the results actually didn't show that it was the best solution after the lockdowns. And we found like increased levels of depression and anxiety. So from research that we do is like people actually value more than face-to-face work and face-to-face contact more than they did before, even though that initially it sounded that online work sounds quite a good idea. We're not saying that this is not, because it has many benefits as well, but it affected the levels of resilience, because each person had actually to find solutions and strategies to work by themselves instead of being like in a team. Not that they didn't have like meetings, but the feeling of isolation brought like different results. So back to your question. Okay, we have developed like programs and interventions for individuals and groups. There are many like strategies. We work together with interviews, like psychological based interviews that we design for each organization, and we speak to each person separately. And then we work on things like positive emotions, for example, positive emotional regulation as well. For example, we found that levels of, if we increase like optimism, calmness, just to decrease, so we decrease like anxiety levels as well. And as I said, like working with in a group environment, because not everybody is the same person. So we encourage that cooperation, collaboration, and effective coping skills as well. So these are some of the techniques that we use. And then we incorporate like, as I said, psychological interviews and focus groups to find out what the needs of the employees and the organization actually is. So we cannot speak every time we adapt the programs for each organization. But I have to say that sometimes the programs are like not the only solutions, because organizations need actually to set realistic goals as well for the employees to reach. So sometimes the time pressure, the deadlines can actually cancel everything, not cancel, but they can actually affect the way that people adapt to new life skills. And they don't have like a choice sometimes to do like techniques that we actually propose. So that's why we work like in collaboration. We learn from them what their goals are, and then we adapt and we make suggestions as well.
Wow. First of all, I need to say that what you mentioned earlier about the in-person, working in person versus working remotely, and how important it is to be able to meet in person and work and collaborate and have fun in person with the rest of our team members. How important is that? I can't agree with you more. And to be honest with you, the day after tomorrow, I'm about to deliver an HR webinar, which is all about how to help your remote employees to be healthier and happier. So how you can help your hybrid workforce to be okay when it comes to the well-being and mental health. And part of the things and the strategies I'm suggesting is to bring employers together, all together in person and the real physical space as often as this is possible, of course, only because that kind of human touch, this kind of human connection helps employees to feel motivated, inspired, incentivized, more productive, healthier. So I'm so glad that you highlighted that during pandemic, many employees experience a decrease when it comes to the resilience levels. And I can totally see that. I mean, I was looking at a study the other day, which actually shows that millennials, half of millennials, 49% said that they would love to be at the office, like 0 days per week. So to fully embrace this kind of remote working model. But it was interesting because the other half didn't like agree, and they said that 1 to 2 days is the ideal number. But then I was looking like what Gen Z said, and it was interesting because, and I have the report right here, it says that 27% of Gen Zers feel that they're much more likely than average to be seeking in-person work opportunities. And it seems
yeah,
according
okay.
to
We have like sorry,
yeah.
I thought that you finished.
Sorry, so this is according to a study conducted by Glassdoor, which shows that there is a high percentage of Gen Zs who actually want to go to the office and they want to be able to interact with their colleagues, and for them and their mental health, this is important. But then is also what you've said earlier about the loneliness and isolation element. I was looking into a term which is called, there is actually a term, and it is called remoteliness, and applies to those extrovert employees who actually are struggling with loneliness while working from home for a prolonged period of time. So when it comes to employers and HRs, when they build a strategy for the year, it's so important to make sure that we take into consideration both introverts and extroverts within our business, and provide options to everyone, because one size doesn't fit all. Sorry, I interrupted you, Maria. What did you want to add?
Yeah, there is quite a lot and a big number of research that prove that, and the percentages are higher, to be honest, because I was reading actually the last couple of weeks about this. I was reading reports, so it doesn't have much. I know that many studies separate like generations, but this is like a general feeling. I know that younger generations are more like used in technology and like being online, but it's different when I navigate social media. It's different when I want to work and I want to be effective and productive.
Yeah.
So we have to separate these. It doesn't mean that because Gen Z have actually grew up with having like mobile in their hands, but they are used in having like people always on the screen.
Exactly.
Everybody needs like this interaction.
Absolutely. And in my team, we do have, most of my team is consisted of Gen Zs. And every week we have the same conversation. They're like, oh, we'd love to come to the office next week. How many days we're going to be at the office? I'm like, guys, you don't want to be working from home? So I see that even, within my own team. And my next question is about self-care, because for me as a corporate well-being expert, as a yoga teacher, self-care is part of my day-to-day routine. But also as an entrepreneur, right? I have seen that if I'm not mindful enough to take care of my well-being as an entrepreneur, that has an impact on my mental health. So if I won't wake up early, for example, to do my breathing and my yoga and my meditation, the rest of the day, I feel a little bit kind of edgy or a little bit kind of nervous. That's my own kind of morning kind of routine, my morning rituals and my self-care practice. Now, I know that for every person, a self-care practice is a different thing, but I also know that you're a big believer when it comes to self-care practices. So how does self-care practices contribute to building resilience? And can you provide us with kind of a few examples?
Yes, self-care is part of psychology, first of all. So it's something that we know that if you don't actually start with yourself, then you cannot take care of other things as well in your life. So you need self-care is very, very important for our well-being. So this is like what the examples that you gave, they're brilliant. So what we actually look is like the needs and the life, the daily life of people, because many people, we know that they have like kids, they have like a really busy schedule. They cannot, even though these practices are brilliant, like doing like a meditation session, exercising in the morning, or like having like a lot of time to eat healthily and organize my time before I start work. But this is not possible for many people. So we adjust these practices, for the needs. Again, we cannot just say that wake up in the morning and just do 30 minutes, like, meditation and, have like a really nice warm shower. So many people tell us, oh, but I have to drop my kids like to school and then go straight to work. So we take into account all these needs and the time frame of, different groups of people. So yes, we try to incorporate like practices like that, maybe another time of the day. Even 5 minutes can help sometimes instead of no time. So we try to build time, not only in the morning, because I know that many people actually insist that, and I believe that as well. I do that sometimes when my days allow me to have like a very nice morning routine, but this is not always possible. So we say that we can try to incorporate these effective techniques maybe later in the day, or even for 5 minutes in the day, because some people say that, oh, if I cannot do it in the morning, then I cannot do it at all. Or if I cannot practice this every day, so this is not, I cannot be effective practicing self-care. So this is not actually true. We can actually incorporate, techniques like meditation, or like having a nice shower, or eating like healthily, or like exercising. Or exercising sometimes can be like just walking the block around, or building for 5-10 minutes if we don't have time at all. So self-care is like doing, even for 5 minutes, doing something really nice for ourselves. Sometimes one day can be like listening to a nice song, because sometimes people don't have, they say that, oh, we don't have time even for that. Or just turning off the television. Sometimes it can be like, every day. I would say that this is important for every day, eating like naturally, not just, especially in London, we tend to, they say that I have like students who come from countries like India, Pakistan, and they say where things are calmer there, and they find that London life can be really, really stressful, because they see people eating while they're walking to work, and this is true. And like a funny thing, but it's like, that the apples here that you buy from the supermarkets are, they bring the small ones here because they know people live like in such a rush. So they need something to hold, to fit in their palm, in their heart. So that's why, if you notice that, because life can be so quick and fast, we walk really fast every day. I mean, I'm trying, I manage not to do that. But because I didn't like that way of life, but just trying to find 5-10 minutes to eat, like not just eat healthily, but stay somewhere, take 10 minutes for yourself, and just incorporate like these practices in your daily life. Talk to colleagues. Sometimes we're like, hi, and then we go straight to our office and we don't really talk to others, maybe via emails. So take 5 minutes to talk, to chat. How is life? How are you doing? Just to connect. When you go home, do things for yourself, like I gave some examples. Learn something new. This is important as well. Speak to people that we haven't spoken for a long time, and you will see that over time, this will bring like difference in, a difference in your life, positive difference in your life. These things you start realizing they will build, and even for 5 minutes per day. So because sometimes I'm saying that, I said that a few times for the 5 minutes per day, and I incorporate that in one of my programs. And we actually, many years ago, we did like a campaign with my colleagues about, having like a few minutes a day to do stuff, because we saw that many people build programs and that stress they stress other people instead of calming them down because they don't have the time. So we start from a few minutes per day, any time of the day that we can actually do something for ourselves.
I love what you mentioned, because it's not about having enough time, or it's not about doing certain things on a certain time, at a certain time, but it's about adjusting our self-care routines based on our lifestyle and the lifestyle, our lifestyle requirements, and make it part of it. Because if we won't, then we won't stick to that plan. And what I'm hearing, Maria, from what you've said, is that there is this kind of compounding element. So even those 5 minutes per day over a long period of time will help us to actually start building resilience, start feeling calm and moments of adversity and uncertainty, and being better able to navigate difficult conversations, having that kind of clarity when the time comes to solve challenging problems or to make some difficult decisions. So, and then the other thing you mentioned that I personally find that it's so important, it's about also the element of social well-being, because in many times what I found is that so many employees talk about the self-care from a physical well-being perspective. Okay, I just need to go and do my workout, and if I do, that's enough when it comes to my self-care. But it goes beyond just a physical workout. It goes beyond just a single meditation practice, and goes beyond it just, just some stretching in the morning. And it's more, it's a holistic kind of thing, and it includes digital well-being, family well-being, financial well-being, and the most important, social well-being, because we're social creatures. So I love what you've mentioned, and this is something we recommend to our clients and HRs to organize, like team bonding, well-being events where all employees gather together on a virtual space or in person, even better, because that can be a game changer, the human-centric experience. So yeah, it's so powerful. And it's interesting because a week ago I started my Zen Warrior program. It's a challenge. It's not for companies, it's for individuals, and a B2C kind of thing. So every morning we wake up with another 20 people at 6 o'clock in the morning, and we do things together, Zoom.
Nice.
So it's meditation and stretching and a little bit of visualization. It's all based on a beautiful book, which is called The Morning Miracle. I highly recommend it. And what I found, Maria, it is that it's so much helpful for all of us in this group, but not just because we do those self-care things, but because we do them together. It's what you said earlier about, bonding and coming together.
Exactly.
Creating that sense of community. So speaking of books and speaking of rituals, do you have any books, podcasts, or anything else that has helped you personally or has helped your clients to take care of the mental health and well-being? Any recommendations at all that you would like to share with employees from our network?
I wouldn't say that because, I'm an academic as well. So the things that come to my mind are quite academic, and they're like much different from what other people would like to read. If they want to start, because many people are interested in psychology, so I will recommend like Martin Seligman, that is the founder of positive psychology. And if they want to learn more about, the different terms that we use and what they are about, there are like books on resilience and compassion that they can actually explore. But again, the things that come to my mind are quite academic, so they are more like research based, and they talk about different techniques, but not the books that usually people would like to read. Anyway, academic books can be quite different. That's why I cannot answer. I cannot actually recommend. What I'm doing at the moment is like I'm building like a series of because I do quite a lot of meditation. I teach meditation, therapy, different like therapies. They use like we have like different types of meditation as well. So at the moment I'm recording some meditation videos. So I will have them up soon. So I'm happy to share them with you and our audience.
Amazing.
Yes.
Oh, that's great news, Maria. I didn't know. That's a great news. Wow.
What I always recommend as a book is A Man's Search for Meaning. That it's not like it's a very short book, and it talks about people being like resilient and being saying, in a very, very difficult situation of humanity, there were Jewish people back in the camps, and they were dealing with something really difficult. Everybody knows about this. So the book actually talks about how some people could adapt easier and how actually this helped them to survive the situation. Not everybody could, unfortunately, but this book actually talk about in one of the worst actually situations that humans actually experienced. They talked about some people who were actually more resilient than others. So I will recommend this book. This is a must for everybody. This is actually I know that even at universities they include this.
I love this book, Marianne. Thank you for actually recommending.
By Viktor Frankl. I forgot to mention that.
Yeah, Viktor Frankl. I was about to say, because I read this book during pandemic, and but it's an unforgettable experience. That's how we would describe this book. And the messages are so powerful, especially to those who might be struggling with mental health issues or with any challenges. It can be a game changer in terms of teaching you how to be stronger, happier, positive, hopeful, even in the most challenging times. And thank you so much for bringing up this book, Maria.
You're welcome. But just to add, because of course, I don't want to disregard, I didn't say that about academic books, but if somebody really wants to learn more about the list of books that we actually read and we study, I'm happy to share this list of academic-based books as well. There are brilliant, like Stephen Joseph, one of my colleagues, he wrote books on positive psychology as well. One of the first books of positive psychology. So there are brilliant books to read.
Let's include those in the comments then below in the description, because some people are curious, and psychology and positive psychology, and as you said, some people might want to go a little bit deeper when it comes to this topic. My next question is all about leaders and managers. So how can leaders and managers play a role in fostering resilience and creating a supportive environment for their teams?
What we've seen is like and when we ask employees what actually helps them, makes them feel good, is like employers being close to their staff and asking them questions. For example, I know that many organizations, they include questionnaires, sometimes they preserve like anonymity because some people are afraid to express their opinions for different reasons. Or they have like coffee breaks, like regular meetings when people can express their needs, or they can actually bring ideas of how things can work better. And because everybody can have like ideas, even from, we can learn things from trainees as well, that they don't have that much experience. This is what I mean. But building resilience is like valuing resilience first. This is number one. And then if you have this into your mind, then being close to the other people and bringing them together to express their opinion, not just to do things together. This is really important, but also to express their needs and opinions.
I love that. I love that. And that brings me back to that thing that we discussed earlier about psychological safety and how important is to be able to encourage employees, if that's what they want, to actually share it and reach out for help and express how they feel and think about certain things. We all know, for example, that there is so much stigma in the workplace today when it comes to mental health still. So leaders and managers have such a great role to play when it comes to that, to break down the stigma. So that brings me to my next question, which is, how can individuals proactively incorporate positive psychology principles into their daily lives to enhance their personal resilience? I mean, are there any kind of hacks or other tips that we haven't mentioned so far that you would personally recommend?
We don't call them hacks, to be honest. I like the word. I'm not saying that, but because it's something that we use quite a lot on social media. But in psychology, we call them like teaching skills. And usually what we found is that because recently I interviewed people and books work, as I said, or like online programs are brilliant as well. But you need like bringing like therapists and psychologists like to work, to collaborate and like show the way and teach other people the skills, because it's not only having the skills, it's about having like the order, how we actually when to use what technique. But building like gratitude is something that we always recommend. Everybody can do that, and you only benefit from that regardless your needs. So building gratitude is like many people, for example, we give an example. Many people they see what they're missing, they see what they what they have to build, and this makes them feel stressful. And because they think that they think about the effort they have to put, the energy that they have to put to build all this stuff that they want, or to reach like a goal and build the skills. But the first thing of, you know, to be like effective in what we want to do is to value what we already have, to value what we have, like in strengths, like in our character, in our experience, we build experience, and also to value, you know, even like being healthy, having like a job, having like colleagues, being able to ask other people. So to write all this down and just be aware of that, not just for one day, to be aware, like to feel them, you know, within you every single day of your life, like not to feel like you lack of skills, that you have like to put too much effort to build something new. So to value and appreciate what you already have, and this make us more capable, and we find like more resilient in finding more like energy to build on new things that we want to build. So gratitude is the key, one of the key things in anything in life, you know, when we deal with stress, when we deal with anxiety or depression, this is one of the key things that we actually recommend.
I love what you just said about gratitude. It's a superpower for real. It has been my own superpower, and it's something that I make sure that I include in every single program and every single initiative we organize with the businesses here in the UK, because we've seen that gratitude has there's a viral effect when it comes to gratitude. You know, when we cultivate gratitude on a personal level, that transcends and moves to so many other individuals around us, and then as a team we might feel way more gratitude, like we might feel more hopeful, we might feel more positive. So there is the like a domino effect when it comes to cultivating and expressing gratitude. And that takes me to my last question for today, and it's like, how can organizations promote a continuous learning and growth mindset to support ongoing resilience development within their teams? So in a long term, how we can make sure that we promote that kind of continuous learning and growth mindset.
Mm-hmm. As I said, it's not just a one day like thing, like, okay, let's talk about resilience and then we just continue, because people tend to forget. This is the thing. Not just tend to forget, but daily life is built on quite a lot of, I mean, everyday life around us is built on negativity, on like you know, that life is difficult, and there are, like, we hear about challenges, we hear about, and as I said, especially because we with the people that I work, this is one of the first things that they mention about loss of living, and that is like it will continue for I don't know, they said initially for 2 years. So we hear people talking about that, and it's very difficult to follow like the opposite side, like to believe that things are possible, to believe that we can find out actually solutions, because this is what one part of the resilience as well, being effective and finding solutions. So in this case, if you're talking about organizations, this is something that, because people need actually to work on things, you know, on their skills quite often, not just, as I said, for one day and then that's it. So just to value that and organize like events, as we said, not to stop them after a while, to organize events to encourage people to work together, to encourage people to exchange like ideas, like to talk about the strengths, to talk about how they can actually work on their weaknesses or on things that they would like to build, to learn from each other, to have to organize like training and events and seminars and workshops. So this actually can keep people interested in what they do.
So it's more on a continuous, on a long-term basis to be sustainable. And I love what you said, because many businesses, they do feel like, okay, if I do 3, 4, 5 workshops per year, I'm good, I tick the box. But the reality is different, and I'm so glad that you actually highlighted how important it is to build initiatives, lasting initiatives, not just for today and tomorrow. I just want to ask, I'm curious, because many employees we talk with every day, they're struggling with cost of living crisis, what you just mentioned, and that has an impact on their mental health. What would you tell to those people? What do you recommend them doing when it comes to this challenge?
It's something that, living in Greece back in 2009 for several years. And so I had like experience of economic crisis, in a country. So, and I studied quite a lot these things, back in my country. Obviously, other countries have experienced the same, or they're still experiencing, the same. So what I would suggest is like not to have this as your only conversation with your colleagues, because what we focus on becomes like our life. So we know that, we have the knowledge. We're not saying to live life in a different world. We can adjust to that, because adjustment is key. And but then don't forget that there are good things in our lives, and this is not only, this is not the we shouldn't actually put this as a label, into our lives. It's not like it's one thing, but we have like still good things in our life, and we can actually build on more.
I love that, and it makes me personally feel so much positive and hopeful. Because it's what you said, when we channel our attention to one single thing, that thing can become bigger and bigger and bigger. So it's really important to see all the beautiful, positive, full of hope things in our lives, and cherish those moments. So that's so important. Maria, that was such an inspiring conversation today. I feel like I've learned so much. I'm pretty sure our HR network will have so much to learn from this conversation. There are so many takeaways. We'll make sure that we will include all the resources in the books we've mentioned during the interview in the description below. But before we end, is there anything that you would like to mention, or anything, any message that you would like to share with our audience?
First of all, I would like to thank you as well. It's so nice to hear your stories, and very, very important. And I'm sure that, people will find, everything that you said so important and interesting. And I found this. I found your stories and experiences really, really important. So, and I will actually, just to say that I will share like my contact details as well, for people if they want to ask me any more questions, and if they want to share like things that I have written, or like things that I do. And I mean, the videos will be upcoming, what I do with meditation, as I said. What I would like to share is like, it's not like hard work, because many people that I work with, they think that okay, but this is not, this requires effort. If I want to change, I want to say that sometimes we need actually to say that this is to make it priority, and maybe when we want to change, it sounds like it feels like putting too much effort, but then it becomes like part of us. So everything becomes so much easier, and the results that we get are really amazing. So we don't want to go back. And we ask ourselves why we didn't do that, earlier. So stick with that, learn more, ask questions. This is important. We're not born and we don't know everything. So we need to learn from each other. And you will see that once you start, incorporating new skills and new life habits in your life, that the results will be like amazing. And you will thank yourself.
I'm so thankful that we have you with us today, and it just feels so inspiring to just hear all these ideas and strategies and all the best practice that you've shared with us today. And I feel like all those things are applicable to both businesses and employers, and also on a personal, but also from a kind of a professional angle. And I am so glad we had this conversation about how to build resilience. My own message when it comes to resilience is that it comes with small steps. And if every single day you can take one small step, as we've said before, there's this compounding effect. By the end of this year, you will be so much stronger. So it all starts with things like stepping outside our comfort zone, or trying to navigate stress and anxiety without escaping it or resisting it or not wanting to metabolize it mindfully. And also it can start with just being more open, curious, receptive, and new ideas. But also, as Maria said, it all comes down to reaching out for help when we need it, and be brave enough and vulnerable enough, all at the same time, to reach out for help when the time comes. So that's my message when it comes to resilience. Thank you all for watching. Thank you to all of those who will watch this interview a little bit later. Please stay tuned. There's so much more to come. Please send us your questions if you have any questions for me or Dr. Maria Futiato. And also, please stay connected with us on our social media. And we have so many incredible news to share in the coming weeks and months. So have a beautiful, beautiful rest of the week, everyone. Maria, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much as well.
And I appreciate you so much. Have a lovely, lovely rest of the day, Maria. Cheers.
Enjoy yours as well.
Cheers.